everyone, it's me, Carol, and I welcome you to part 9 of my series of learning the minor arcana cards along with numerology. Today we will be discussing the nines in all 4 suits of the tarot, as well as the number vibration and its energies, number 9, and how it plays and relates to each of the tarot cards. Keep in mind that the suits come to their highest point at the 9 level. All the forces of the previous numbers, the previous cards, are now summed up, integrated in the number 9 and in the cards number 9 in the tarot suits. Now, because of this, 9 is a little complicated. 9 is very powerful, and I wanted to bring the mystery and the mysticism about this number by just very quickly showing you what it is, what it does in numerology. Now, it is said to give back. When you add any number to number 9, no matter what it is, you will get the original number that you added to it. And here are some examples. So 2 plus 9 is 11, 1 plus 1 is 2, and then let's take the last one. 7 plus 9 is 16. You add up 1 and 6, you get 7. These numbers come back. So 9 gives back, gives of itself. But it also retains self and returns. 9 is cyclical. 9 is continuously. There are only 9 numbers. There's only 9 digits. 10 is just a repetitive, higher octave of the number 1 that we're returning to. When you multiply any number with number 9, it comes back to itself. 4 times 9 is 36. 3 and 6 is 9. 8 times 9 we know is 72. We add up 7 plus 2, it is 9. That is part of the mystery of number 9. Now there's another aspect that I'm going to touch on very, very quickly. It is called the 3 planes of being, and these are the numbers that are having to do with, let's just say, the triad, certainly in the tree of life. There's 3 triangles. The first one is the supernal triangle. The second triangle is the ethical triangle, and then the third triangle in the tree of life is the astral triangle. And a triangle, you know, is made up of 3 points, 3, 6, and 9. The important part that I want to bring to your attention is that 3 is the creator, and we know that when we look at the number 3 in the major arcana, it is the Empress, and certainly she's the Mother Earth, and she brings things to life. You add 3 times with another 3, you get 6. If we add 3 to the number 6, we get 9. If we add 3 to the number 9, we get 12. 1 and 2 is 3. Do you see the repetition? Okay, it's also known as the body, mind, and spirit. And of course, we're going to be talking about the planets we have in previous videos when we covered the 3, 6s, and 9s. And today we are going to talk about 9 and the corresponding planet Mars and how it comes into the tarot like we've done before, but there is also another, let's call it light body. The moon sometimes is not really known as a planet, but that's card number 18. Now we add up 1 and 8, we get 9. So the energy of the number 9, yes, is Mars and is the moon. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. The other thing that I'm going to talk about very, very quickly is the power. The adepts talked about the power of the number 3. Now 3, as I've shown you here before, is Jupiter. And that number basically rules higher mind. It rules philosophical reasoning. It rules morality, prosperity. Jupiter's action is usually very orderly, and it promotes growth. So the adepts give Jupiter the reason why It's known as the great benefit planet, and that's why things continue to grow, and we say things happen in threes. That is so true. Now, let's get back to the number 9, which we're working with today, and that is our corresponding planet as well as the moon. And Mars deals with our desire. Yes, it's known as the red planet. Some people call it the war planet, and Mars is also the ruler of the sign Aries. It's very important. It's an energy planet. We wouldn't know what to do without desire. It keeps us going. It keeps us creating. It also gives us our urges. It also gives us ambition, and it harbors force, yes, and power. And who doesn't need that in competition, or who doesn't need that to come to the finish line? And that's where we are in the number 9. Of course, Mars can have constructive energy, and it can have destructive energy. And it gives us courage, strength, and we have to also remember that Mars can also give us anger and disruptive tendencies. Okay, let's begin with the 8 of Wands. We've done all we can to prepare ourselves for what may come. Your back is supported from past actions. Remember 9, we have all the cards and all the energies of the previous suits, correct? So we have a connection and we have an accomplishment here. But it's time to stay centered and vigilant. All these wands, if you remember, in the 8s have now taken root. We are working at the integrity of the mind of the number 9, because 9 is intelligence as well. And we know that the suit of wands has to do with spirit. So, and that's kind of shown with that white bandana around his head over the black hair, meaning that he seeks clarity over his ignorance or what he doesn't know in that situation. All right. Now, there are, as with all the cards, numerous ways of interpreting the 9 of Wands. We can look at the 9 wands behind him as strength, established authority. And as I have suggested in other videos, check to see how the suits in the cards are laid out, displaced, or divided. And here we have 3 wands and we have 5. So, is he pausing and deciding what works, what's been beneficial, and then we'll discard what hasn't been successful? Has he been dealt a blow? We can look at that. Maybe that bandana is hiding something that has left him doubtful, defensive, as he holds on to his wand with both hands, possibly. We can also look at that 1 wand as the Ace of Wands, and also remember I said that the wand suits have to do with the self. Well, this is his will, Mars. This is his energy. This is his power. This is his force. And he's holding that and he's saying, this will get me by. This will give me direction. So he has realized that he has more to learn in the near future, because he's looking to the right. Remember, we have a mirror image. Whenever the figure is looking at us, the right is left and the left is right. So his eyes are looking to see what's coming up in the next direction. And any challenge that you may encounter in the 9 suits, one needs to first of all be true to his or her values and maintain the integrity that you've gathered along the way when you've gotten to this level, okay? Think of it as 9 grades. You've been through the first grade. You are now ready to graduate at the 9 level and maintain the truth and the integrity that you've learned along the way. Okay, now whatever isn't working at this juncture, and this is for all the 9 cards, we really need to let that go, okay? There may be some loss, some total loss, there may be some minor loss, but you need to release it completely. Again, this is on the 3 planes of what I talked about here before, the body, mind, and spirit, that we may have to let them go on 1 level, 2 levels, or all 3 levels. All right, let's go on to the 9 of Cups, and there's a complete state of contentment here and satisfaction if I've ever seen it. And everything is in order, it seems, right? The 9 of Cups has to do with our feelings, our love, our pleasures, and our emotions. And the cups are now in back of you, so it indicates kind of work well done. And the water element of the cups show that there is an unconscious reality to all this, as well as the cloth on the table is in blue. And we now know that the color blue not only indicates feminine receptive energy, but it also has to do with the unconscious. So, even though he's shown smug, very content with, what he's done so far, and there's still something quite suspicious about this card, because, number 1, he crosses his arms. We're going to be looking at the body language, which means that he's closed off from feeling anything new right now, okay? Because he's got all this in order, right? He's under control. He's got that in order, but he's looking at us, and he's not sure if he's ready to take on anything new right now. Okay, so the unconscious desire is also shown by his red hat and his red stockings, because the red hat and red stockings, if you recall, the vibration have to do with giving and sharing. What I showed you over here, that 9 gives back and also 9 retains. And that is definitely important in understanding the process of what the 9 suits in the tarot and the number 9 indicate in interpreting these cards. So this can indicate, with his legs being open, that, and his hands and feet going in opposite directions, we have male and female. Red is male and the blue background is female, as well as his garment seems to be a mixture of a little blue, some black and white, and black, of course, also is both of the energies of positive and negative. The black is the negative and the white is the positive. So there's an indication that he is open to something new in the future, but maybe not just yet. Now, a lot of people know this as the wish card, and it certainly means that everything is working for you. What you've been hoping for is going to happen, but the unconscious is still, something is not revealed yet. This is behind yet. And like all of us, we have not always worked with every emotion. We tend to, stuff them down or to put them in our shadow personality. And that's what this says, that everything is good right now. And with this arch, this blue arch, again indicating cycles, that sooner or later we're going to have to work at our emotions, that nothing can be this perfect as life goes on. Okay, so this is definitely a wonderful, positive card. Your wishes come true, love, satisfaction, pleasures, are at its best at the Nine of Cups. We now come to the Nine of Swords, and I would like to begin by pointing out an important aspect of the structure of the swords and what it symbolizes. And this is kind of, again, true for all the cards in the suits. I shouldn't say all the suits. I apologize for all of the swords in the suits. A sword is two-edged. That is how it was constructed. And we could say that it can be used for force, to protect. The edge can cut away disease and heal, or the sword can cut and maim and end life. So we can say that the two-edged sword can be action or inertia, and that is my point, because here in the Nine of Swords we have inertia and nothing is happening, and that seems to be the problem. So we also know that the suit of swords has to do with air. Air has to do with thinking, reasoning, ideas, communication. It can be an aggressive force as well, the way we say it, and it gives us courage, and swords is known to bring us strife. So in the Nine of Swords, we are seeing a mind that we can say is overextended. Certainly there's an air of being overwhelmed. And could it be fear, or could it be information overload? And in this day and age, I do like to give that interpretation for the Nine of Wands, because sometimes we do feel overwhelmed with text messages, Instagram, email, all of those media ways of being contacted and getting information 24/7. So I like to look at that card as a possibility of being overwhelmed as well with information, because the suit of swords has to do with reasoning, intellect, and knowledge. So here is a question I'd like to bring up when interpreting this card. Being it's a card of completion and integrity and endings, it's important to understand its meaning in view of surrounding cards, because we will get an idea of where the thinking, where the inertia is by looking at the cards surrounding it. But any way we look at it, there is definitely mental conflict, and that we need to remedy it. Remember, we're at the 9 level. Remember, I said we need to get rid of it, let go of it if something isn't working. So the Nine of Swords are in complete darkness. So this person really doesn't even know where to begin. That's the swords right there. Complete darkness. That means unconscious, doesn't know, and in the middle of the night, this person sits up in bed, and are they having dreams? Are they having nightmares? Is it an anxiety attack? Again, we're not sure, but that's certainly possible. Now, what are the images in this card to give us clues? There are many. The swords hanging the way they are, number one, they take up the full sides of the cards. So it is from the past into the present, the future. Look at these. There's no room. So this is continuously. So whatever has been unresolved from the past, is going into the future, has gone into the future. And at the 9 level, it's kind of do or die. We got to deal with this, or it's going to create illnesses, insomnia, and a whole other bunch of things. Now, the figure is somewhat aware, and I say that because she has yellow intellect in her hair. And her night clothes are also showing an openness, a somewhat innocent state of mind because it has white and black. I also think that the quilt is going to give us a very, very big clue, and that this is family or relationship oriented or relative oriented just by the way the quilt is made up. If you look closely, we have squares of zodiac signs or glyphs of the signs, and then we also have squares of yellow, intellect, and red roses, passion, wanting to find, passionate about finding a way out. And that is on her lap. That is on her. This is what she feels is what she has to do. And it is halfway. What's really interesting about it is half of it is covered with the quilt, and then we have another half of her bed that is exposed. Look at the beautiful color of her bedding and her pillow. It is pink and a lighter shade of pink, which means that her emotions, her heart is in this. Now, what's also interesting, again, getting back to what I've said earlier, that we want to look at how the suits are depicted in the tarot card. Why do we see 3 of the swords? One going through her heart, the other going through her mind. So we have body, mind, and then we have one sword not going through her head, hovering to the, let's say, to the left of her head, which is her spirit, her crown chakra. Again, the aspects of the planes of being, the body, mind, and spirit are definitely being shown here. And then we have the rest of the swords above her. But it's definitely her heart, which is depicted here, her mind, her yellow hair, her mind wanting to find answers to this in her quilt, and then the spirituality of the number 9 wanting to come to a conclusion. Now, the other thing that I want to show you symbolically is the importance of the carving of her bed. Oh my goodness. If we look at that, there seems to be a mythical, let's call it a mythical carving. Okay, now this is her foundation. This is where she lays her body every night. So the symbology is this is her belief system, okay? And that's what we work on, our belief systems. This is what, when our belief systems are basically the, let's say, the jumping off point or the foundation in which we conduct our lives. Mythically, she believes, number 1, these are all 2 naked figures. She's vulnerable. And there is one with a sword, one who is in a position of taking another person over, defenseless. The other person is laying down with both hands extended out, and the sword is pointing at them. So her belief system seems to be shown here about having to fight, having to be invulnerable. So there's fear and anxiety woven in this card. So that has this fear has to be relieved. We have to, what I like to say is we have to now wake up to the truth and the reality of what is in front of us. She certainly isn't wanting to look at the right side, what is before her. It may be too painful, it may be too hard for her to deal with. Now, she is not alone in her suffering, because we realize that there's family members all in part of this, and a decision has to be made at this level. Again, the Nine of Swords, important that we interpret it with the surrounding cards, because it has to do with finalization, depression, many things, and we want to be able to understand what is going on before we tell anybody the severity of this card. Okay, we're going to lighten things up with the Nine of Pentacles. Here is a woman, and she definitely has a lot of self-confidence. She has reached success, that's for sure, and is kind of living a very beautiful, luxurious life, because we look at her garment, we look at the care of her, maybe some jewelry around her ears. There's a garden of fruits on the vine. There's a beautiful house that she's established and has created and still is living in on the right side of the card for us. We're not really interpreting her right now. So yes, we're talking about the element of earth, the pentacles, and that is commerce, craftsmanship, property, health, and wellness. And at the 9 level, she has definitely established all that. She's quite content, and she's alone, but she does not look lonely. And she's in the center of all this, and the cards are giving you clues that she realizes, okay, I'm kind of enjoying the fruits of my labor, but again, the mirror image, her right hand is a hook through part of the grapevine, and it is very gently laying on top of the pentacles. So she knows that in order for her to maintain this beauty, this lifestyle, this prosperity, this security, the wellness, she looks very healthy, she will have to go back to work or still create. There's also another clue. There are 6 pentacles. We got 3, 6, and 9. And if we remember, and I think I took the card out, the 6 of Pentacles is giving back. We have to give in order to receive. And she also realizes possibly that her prosperity is maybe giving back to those not as fortunate, or to be creating whatever it is that she makes or does for society, for the collective, that it is a product that is beneficial, that is well made, that is usable. Those are all indications. And she does have that inner desire to continue because of what's on her skin, what's on her being, and that is shown to you with the red undergarment here and her red hat. So she's definitely a woman that is going to continue to be proactive, even though she has gained all of this abundance. Now, she's also wise because she knows that and I say that because she's wise because she has been able to control a falcon. Okay? Now, a falcon has to be trained, and in the tarot, what this is representing is she's had to discipline her mind continuously, and she's had to work at her craft or her skills and her ability. And right now she's looking at that, and the falcon is hooded, so she's not in a creative process, but she is contemplating possibly how to, like I said earlier in the beginning of this, where she can maybe fine-tune or eliminate waste, better her product. And for her, it really is all about aesthetics and beauty and refinement and prosperity and abundance, not only because of the grapes on the vine, but she has the glove of Venus, number 3, creativity, on her gown. So this is a very loving, sensual woman who knows that sooner or later that falcon will have to fly again to new horizons, new inspirations. And then lastly, I want to talk about what the symbology is about the snail. Basically, it is cyclical actions. Okay, the snail, very earthy because it's slow, it's consistent, it's methodical, it's courageous, it's frugal, it carries its house on its back. And when we look at the way that the shell is made, it has a spiral, a cyclical, and it very much reminds me of the characteristics of the earth signs of the zodiac, especially the Capricorns and the Taurus. And the Virgos, they make good use of the material of the earth, and they manage money usually very, very well. So the snail is that determination and aspects about having to continue. I will walk across again. I'm heading towards something new now. That life has a beginning, has an end, and they're both of the same. And when this card comes up, not only are you having the good life, but you have a good reputation in business, in commerce, in finances. Sometimes it's the artisan card, could be a realtor, a property manager, etc., things of that nature, someone who is a financial consultant. But we know that there is knowledge and creativity through the process of physically creating and working with skills. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you enjoy this. As always, I welcome your comments. I'd love to have some questions for you. Thanks for joining me. Stay well. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.